What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I just finished watching episode 4 of House of the Dragon, and oh my gosh, I was definitely not prepared for what I saw. Okay, first and foremost, let me just remind you guys that my reaction to episode 4 and the other episodes will be under my YouTube membership. So if you haven't gone over there to check that out, I have 2 levels. One is for $2.99, and you're going to get all of priority replies from me. You're going to get special polls along with live streams. Level 2 is for $4.99, and you are going to get all of my reactions to this show, other shows, and all movies that I watch, including all of my uncut Try Not to Laugh. So go over there and check that out, and I appreciate you guys in advance for all of your support. Now, let's get into this episode. So, clearly Damon has lost his mind, okay? He is just, at one point in this episode, I thought that maybe he was going to be okay with his brother. He came back from the war, or from, doing what he did in the last episode to those guys or whatever. Looks like he's cut his hair. He came back with a crown, and the king took him in, basically. He was like, good job, thank you. So they're breaking bread and everything, and they're outside, and you can tell that there's still some tension with the king and his daughter, because she comes over to try to speak to them, and he's just kind of, he looks like he's been drinking already, the king. And, Rhaenyra is kind of looking at him like, I know you don't want me to be here or whatever, but you kind of see the uncle giving her a side eye. So she walks off, and the queen, I forgot her name, the one that was her best friend, but she goes to talk to her because she obviously wants to still be close to her, but it's still awkward, the fact that she's married, her best friend married her father, and of course they've got kids now, so she's stepmom. Her best friend is her stepmom. That is so weird even saying that. But, she's trying, and she's not, being mean to her or anything like that. And it looks like Rhaenyra's kind of coming around, and she's still talking to her and everything. So she kind of feels bad, so she talks to her and stuff. So anyway, so we see later on that Rhaenyra is talking to her uncle, and, they're going back and forth or whatever. So she ends up getting like this little map. This little map is showing her a little like secret passageway to this place, right? And she gets disguised, I guess she's wearing a hat and jacket. She looks like a boy. So she meets up with him, and it's like this total underground, I don't know if it's an underground world, but it's another place that clearly the regular people don't belong. And you see all this crazy stuff happening. People playing with fire and people playing instruments. It looks like their version of the hood. Like that, you know what I mean? Like that's what that looks like. So eventually they're watching a show, and they're kind of like slandering, her being queen, like the heir of the throne, and nobody know it's her. So at one point she's like, boo, but he's like, yo, chill, like they're gonna know it's you, stop. So anyway, so now they're walking around, and she's with her uncle, and this dude is, they're walking now through what looks like a freaking orgy fest. And she's kind of looking, and I can't tell, like she's intrigued or she's surprised or she's like taken aback. But he's like walking with her, and she's seeing all these things, and it's just this whole thing. And at one point I saw something I wasn't ready for, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like what am I watching? House of the Dragon, what is this? So then he starts to get close to her, and he says something to her along the lines of, basically having sex is like another form of a language, or whatever it is that he said along those lines. Then he turns around, and they're facing each other, and then he starts to he starts to like kiss her and then starts touching up on her and having sexual stuff with her. And I'm just like, y'all gotta go see my reaction because I literally screamed. I was just like, what the hell is he doing? This is your niece. And I was just so like I could have probably sat here and thought about a couple of different things. That was not one of them. That was certainly not one of them. I was definitely surprised at that. And she was for it. Like, she wasn't scared or anything. Like, she looked like she was down. And I'm like, what is happening here? So he eventually like backs off and runs away. And she's running after him. And you see this little boy kind of going after them. And he sees them. So then you see that eventually it's late at night and somebody's at the castle or whatever, you know, looking to speak to the king's right-hand man. And it's the little boy. So the little boy basically tells him that he saw Rhaenyra and her uncle in this little playpen of a place. And he went to go tell the king, and the king, of course, at first didn't believe it. He was like, okay, bring me who it is that told you so I can take his eyeballs out. I was like, dude, like, you need to go talk to your brother. Like, I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But he was so mad at him because he thought, like, oh, Rhaenyra wouldn't do that. But then again, you know, then you see her running to her room. And, of course, the guard that I thought she had a crush on, or probably still does, she runs in, and then he says he's going to go get the king or whatever, or whoever he said, I forgot, because she clearly looked upset. So then she's like, no. And she takes his helmet or whatever. And she's kind of like, she's acting weird. Like she's doing all these weird things. And I'm like, yo, what's wrong with her? Like, is she still turned on? Is she mad? Does she still want to, you know, get her needs met? Like, what is going on in her mind? Or did this give her the boost that she needed to do whatever she wanted to do with the guard? Like, what? We don't know. But she ended up doing it with the guard. And I'm sitting here, like, just watching how long it's taking them to take the armor off. All the attachments of the armor off. I'm like, yo, this is taking a long time. So anyway, so they end up doing it. But then, you know, the king ends up wanting to see his brother. And you see his brother looking all drunk. He looks like a homeless dude. So they capture him. They grab him up. They take him to the king. The king is basically letting him know, like, I know what you did, but why did you do it, type of thing. So he's on the floor, and he's sitting there basically telling him, like, so what? And, like, I want your daughter. Like, he's like, are you serious? Like, that's your niece. He's like, well, I'd rather it be with me than somebody else. And I'm just like, who are you talking to? Like, are you seriously telling him that? Like, he has no remorse. He's got, like, no shame, nothing. So then the king is like, okay, I see what this is. Like, you don't lust only for my daughter. Like, you want the throne. This is what you're after. And he basically was just like, and, you know. And so then he talks to his daughter about the situation. Now, his daughter is talking to the queen. I forgot her name, her best friend. And she makes it seem like she didn't do anything. She lied to her. She said they didn't do anything, that her uncle didn't touch her or anything like that. So she believed her. But the king kind of is like, all right, you know, you don't know Rhaenyra. Like, I know Rhaenyra. That's my daughter, basically. You know, not in those words, but he's like, she's got some fault in this too. Like, she's not clean. So he speaks to her, and he basically tells her, like, I could be taking, you know, your inheritance away or whatever the case may be, but this is what's going to happen. You're no longer going to choose your husband. This is who you're going to marry, and this is what's going to happen. Like, this is it. So then she begins to basically tell him, like, you need to check your right-hand man, because it seems like he basically was doing what I thought that he was doing. He was purposely sending his daughter down there to check up on him when his wife passed away. And I was like, why is he, at first I was like, is he pimping her out? Like, what is he doing? But then he was, telling her to get dressed and go check up on him and stuff like that. So, but other than that, I don't see anything else bad about his right-hand man. Like, I don't see anything else that he's doing. He seems to have his back. He seems to support him in every other aspect, but I don't know if, because he's denying it. He's like stuck. He's taken aback because the king takes him, to the, I guess, the little meeting quarters that they always have their meetings in, and basically fires him. He takes his pin out. He tells him that this is it. Like, I don't want you here anymore. I know what you did. This was all part of your plan. Like, you purposely sent your daughter to me. And he was just like, no, like, that's not true. And he's like speechless. He's taken aback. So I'm still not sure if that is his plan, or was he doing that to protect him, or is he really a bad guy? We don't know. But he just got fired, and he didn't really lash out in a mean way. He just kind of stood there like in shock. And so then at the end of that episode, the house doctor comes in with this little potion bottle, and he basically gives it to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra's just like, what's that? He's like, well, it's tea. The king sent it. And he, in so many words, he basically insinuates, he's like, you drink it, and it basically takes care of any consequences that may have happened from your actions. So in my mind, I'm like, is this some type of potion to abort if you are pregnant? Like, to be safer than sorry type of thing? I'm like, yo, he is bold. Oh my gosh. But then again, with the king, I don't know what's going on with his skin. He's got scabs all over his back and his hands, and he's got missing fingers. And it's just like, what is going on? Like, what is eating him up like this? Like, this is really weird. But anyway, this was a wild episode. This was definitely wild. I can't wait to see what happens in episode 5. But anyway, once again, my reaction to this episode is going to be under my YouTube memberships. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed my review, what you guys thought of episode 4. Now we can talk about it. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel, hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later.